Hello, mathematicians. Let's see, the computer working? I think it is. All right. So, welcome to math class for today. We are going to look at page 15 in our fact practice packet. And so today we are working on adding 8. So remember that we've been talking about trying to really get faster with our math facts. So it would be a really good idea for you to time yourself and see if you can complete this one page in 1 minute or 2 minutes or maybe even 30 seconds. I bet you could do it. And we are adding today. Whoops, lights went out. We're adding today, which means that we have 2 parts and we're trying to find the whole number. So one part plus another part makes a whole number. So we're going to go ahead and finish our 8 facts, and then we're going to flip it over on this side and we're going to check our answers and make sure that we have all of the things we need here for our answers. And then we are going to move on to do a little bit in our textbooks. So before we get started, we need to see, we have our fact practice packet that we're working on? Do we have our textbook? Do we have our workbook? Do we have a pencil? We also need a flat surface to do our writing on. So let's go ahead and get started. Miss Taylor's just going to get up so I can turn my light back on. Come on back on. Here we go. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Light. All right, so today we are going to practice doing some word problems. So we are on page 29 in our textbooks. There we go, page 29. And we're going to do a little bit of practice together with some word problems that have to do with sometimes we're adding and sometimes we're subtracting. So we're going to think about, when do I add and when do I subtract? So thinking about, do we have 2 parts? Are we trying to find a whole? Have they given us the whole number and one of the parts and we have to find the other part? Or perhaps are we comparing 2 numbers? So we're kind of thinking about, what are we working on today? Should we be adding? Should we be subtracting? So let's get started. We're going to do a few of these together. And again, I'm on page 29. And I also thought it would be a good idea for us to have this little sheet available. This is our How Do I Solve Word Problems little paper that gives us some kind of a step-by-step of what we're going to do to work on and solve word problems. Now, we are going to kind of slowly work towards doing all of these steps. This is a lot of stuff to do. But today I wanted to work on showing you what a unit bar looks like. So some of you may have seen these before and others of you might be like, what's a unit bar? It's actually just a fancy name for a rectangle. All right, so we are definitely going to read the problem. I'm not sure if we're going to underline the question yet. Maybe we can just do that with our finger. But we could do that in our workbook, but not in our textbook. And then we're going to work towards writing an answer sentence. A lot of times in our workbook, they give us the answer sentence. They give it to us so that we don't have to write it. But we will definitely work towards that. So by the end of 2nd grade, we'll be writing our own answer sentences. And we're going to leave a blank for the answer. And then we're going to think about who or what is the problem talking about. Then we're going to start drawing some unit bars. And a unit bar is just a fancy name for a rectangle. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So I think I'm going to stop here. We're not going to read through this whole thing today, but let's just stop right here because I wanted to show you what some unit bars look like as you are solving word problems for today. So I'd like to look at number 14. And the first thing that we do in a word problem is we read the problem. So let's read it. Danny has 34 keychains. He buys 5 more. How many keychains does he have now? Okay, so he has 34 keychains and he buys 5 more. How many keychains does he have now? So we've read the problem. Now something we're going to work towards is underlining the question. So maybe we can just do that with our finger. We've underlined the question. And then it says to write an answer sentence. So the next step here is we have to write an answer sentence, but they've already given us the answer sentence down here. And they left a blank for us. Danny has blank keychains now. So they have our answer sentence. They've given us our little blank. Now, what's step 2? It says identify the who and or the what. So who and what are we talking about here? Well, our who is Danny, and we're talking about Danny's keychains. So if we wanted to write our who and our what, a lot of times we'll do this over to the side and we'll write Danny's, and we use an apostrophe S to show that something belongs to Danny. Danny's keychains. All right. Now we have our who and our what. The next step is to draw a unit bar. And because we have just started talking about unit bars, I'm going to actually show you 2 ways of doing this. Now, a unit bar is kind of another way of doing a number bond. So I'm actually going to draw both just to show you. And then you can decide, do I want to try a number bond for today or do I want to try a unit bar or both? I'd like you to try one of them. But let's talk about what we're going to do to fill in our number bond or our unit bar, because that's kind of the next step is to read through our problem again and decide what should our unit bar look like? What should our number bond look like? Should we add or subtract? So let's see. If Danny has 34 keychains and then he buys 5 more, how many keychains does he have now? So first of all, have they given us the total number? Have they given us the whole number? Or do we need to find the whole number, the total? Mm. Yeah, we have to find it. It says, how many keychains does he have now? So we need to find the whole number. They've given us 2 of the parts. This is how many keychains he had, and then he bought 5 more. So what that would look like is, let's see, he had 34, that's one part, and he bought 5 more, that's another part, and our question mark goes here for our whole number. Sometimes I like to label my number bond too like this. So part, part, whole. So I know that Danny had 34 keychains and then he got 5 more. And so I'm trying to find the whole number. How many keychains does he have now? Now, if you are thinking, I think I'd like a little bit more of a challenge, Miss Taylor, let me show you what a unit bar would look like. So a unit bar is very similar to a number bond, except instead of using circles, it uses a different shape. It uses a rectangle. And I like to say a unit bar is just a fancy name for a rectangle. And our whole number is actually this whole bar. This whole rectangle is our whole number. And then to show the parts, what we do is we kind of just chunk it into different parts. So here we have 2 parts. Part, part. And one of our parts is the number 34, and the other part is the number 5. And then what we're trying to find out is the whole number. In fact, usually what we have is if we're trying to find the whole number, we do just like we do with our number bond. So I'm going to actually erase this. I have to find my black sock. There it is. Okay, got my black sock. So we write a question mark because we're trying to find out the whole number. So this is what our unit bar would look like. And this is what our number bond would look like. So you can decide, which one makes more sense for me right now? And then you can do that. And if we do that, we can see that we need to add. So 34 plus 5 makes 39. So we can cross off our question mark. We can write our answer. We can do it in our number bond or our unit bar. And then, now if we were actually writing this down, we would write it down on our answer sentence. Danny has 39 keychains now. So we have already, let's see, we did our unit bar, we read the problem, we kind of chunked our unit bar, we put our question mark. This says work your computation, step number 5. That's just a fancy word that means add, subtract, multiply, or divide. And then we filled in our answer, check to make sure it makes sense. So this is the one where if we read it, Danny has 39 keychains now. That makes sense. He has more keychains now. He had 34, he bought 5 more. So he should have more now that we found the whole number. So that would make sense. Now, if we had made a little mistake and we subtracted and then we got our answer, let's see, 34 minus 5, that would be 29. Danny has 29 keychains now. Wait a second. Why does he have less now? He should really have more. So this last step is really important to kind of check to make sure, does my answer make sense? So that's a really important step. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to skip over this one. You can definitely do this one on your own, but I have one other one, maybe 2 other ones I wanted to show you. Miss Taylor's not trying not to make my videos quite so long. Okay, so I wanted to show you number 16. So let's take a look at this one. It says, Michael had 78 goldfish. He sold 40 of them. How many goldfish did he have left? Okay, so we've read the problem. Let's underline the question. There's our question. Now we're going to write our answer sentence. Oh, look, they did it for us. Thank you, workbook. He had blank goldfish left. All right, so they have the answer sentence for us. Now we're going to identify our who and our what. Michael's goldfish. Nice job. So over to the side here, we can write Michael's goldfish. All right, so that's our who and our what. Now our next step is to draw our unit bar. And again, a unit bar is just a fancy name for a rectangle. It's also very similar to a number bond. So once again, I'm going to draw both. And for your homework today, you can do whichever one makes sense for you. So in our unit bar, there's our hole. And this is one of the parts. This is the other part. It's kind of like a chocolate bar, and they cut it in half. And there's one part, and there's the other part. And then when we make our number bond, the whole number is here, and then it has the 2 parts coming out of it. All right, so now we're going to be thinking about, have we been given the whole and one of the parts? Or did they give us both parts and we need to find the whole number? Let's see. Let's go back and reread our question, and then we're kind of working on this next step, number 4. We're going to reread the question or the problem, adjust and chunk your unit bar, fill in the information, write a question mark for the unknown. Let's see. Michael had 78 goldfish. He sold 40 of them. How many goldfish did he have left? So they are telling us he started with 78. Then he sold some of them, and then he had some left. So they're actually giving us the whole number. So let me show you what that would look like. In our number bond, here's the 78. He started with 78 goldfish. And if we wanted to do that with our unit bar, we would kind of draw a little bracket here. And the little bracket means this whole thing is our whole number. So he had 78 and he sold 40 of them. So that would be one of the parts. Question mark goes over here. And then if we want to do that in my unit bar, he sold 40 of them. And then our question mark is how many did he have left? Okay. So we can see here they've given us the whole number. He had 78. He sold 40 of them. So how many did he have left? We're trying to find the missing part. And to find a missing part, we're going to subtract. So 78 minus 40. We can do this the horizontal way or the vertical way. 8 minus 0, 7 minus 4, so 38. And then we go back and we cross off our question mark and we take a look at, wait a second, does my answer make sense that he had 38 goldfish left? And that would look like this with our number bond or like this with our unit bar. He had 38 goldfish left. I think that would make sense because he started with 78 and then he sold 40 of them and then he had 38 left. So that's the part. All right, let's try one more together. And I would like us to scoot over to number 19. So number 19 here, let's read the problem. There are 58 cows and 23 horses on a farm. How many fewer horses than cows are there? This is kind of a different kind of question. They're kind of asking us to compare, to talk about which one has more and which one has less or fewer and how many. So anytime we're talking about more or less, we're comparing. So let's see. We read the problem. Let's underline the question. Let's write our answer sentence. Oh, thank you, workbook. There are blank fewer horses than cows. All right, so now let's identify our who and our what. Who, well, I don't know. We don't know who the cows and horses belong to, but we do know our what. So maybe we can call our what cows and horses. Cows and horses. All right, so we're talking about cows and horses. Now let's do our unit bar or our number bond. So I'm going to do both to show you, so you could do either one. And I'm going to make my unit bar or my number bond look a little different. I'm going to put it on the side this time. All right, and I know there's my whole part, okay. And then for my unit bar, this whole thing is the whole. All of this is the whole number. And this is one of the parts. This is the other part. Okay. So when we're comparing, we're usually thinking about, well, the bigger one is the whole number. The smaller number is one of the parts. And then the missing part is the difference between those two numbers. So let's see what that would look like. If there are 58 cows and 23 horses on a farm, how many fewer horses than cows are there? So there's more cows, so that bigger number is going to be our whole number. I'm going to put it in here, 58, and that's the number of cows. And then we know, oh, and if I wanted to put it up here for my unit bar, that would look like this. So 58 is kind of our whole number there. And there's 23 horses. So 23 would kind of be thinking about it as like one of the parts. And then the question mark goes here because we're trying to find this missing part is the difference between these two numbers. So 23 goes here and our question mark goes here. So it's sort of like thinking about, well, if there's 23 horses, I would need how many more to equal the same amount of cows? Because we know there's more cows. So 23 plus something is going to get me up to 58. Or we can think about 58 minus 23 is going to get us to the missing number. All right, so we can work our computation. 53 minus, oops, not 53, 58 minus 23. And we could do this the vertical way, we could do it the horizontal way. So 8 minus 3 is 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. So there's our answer 35, 35, 35. Now let's see, would that make sense? Whoops. Let's see if our answer would make sense. Whoops. Not 36, 35. Let me see. There are 35 fewer horses than cows. Well, let's see. There's 23 horses and 58 cows. So if there's 35 fewer horses, that would make sense. Yes. So we can go ahead and check. Oh, yep, my answer makes sense. Okay. So we are going to practice this a lot. So if you're thinking about, oh, Miss Taylor, these unit bars don't really make sense to me right now, that's okay. We're going to be doing a lot of practice with them. And you'll notice for your textbook work today, we kind of did a few examples together, but you can also look at my paper to really see how we would do each of these. So if you want to go back and do a little bit more practice, I wanted to show you what each of these would look like if you were doing, so like number 14, if you were doing a unit bar, it would look like this, part plus part. Your question mark is your whole number. Or if you were doing a unit bar, it would look like this. So again, this is something very new for us. So if this doesn't really make sense quite yet, that's okay. We'll kind of do lots and lots of practice. I just wanted to show you the two different ways that you can show part plus part equals whole. And you can show that using this is called a number bond, or this is called a unit bar. It's also sometimes called bar modeling. It's like we model what it looks like with a bar. And I like to say that unit bar is just a fancy name for a rectangle. All right, so your homework for today is pages 36 and 37. So I would like you to try unit bars or number bonds. So in your workbook, would really like you to try number bonds or unit bars. Oh, my lights went out again. So that means when you are doing your work, you should either have a unit bar there or a number bond or a unit bar. Now you could have both if you really wanted to be like, oh, Miss Taylor, let me impress you with my number bond and my unit bar. Oh my goodness. I would be so impressed if you did both. That would be like, holy smokes. All right, so that is your homework for today, pages 36 and 37. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and just keep thinking about, let's see, do I have two parts here? Do I have the whole number? Should I add or subtract? We're going to have a teeny tiny quiz tomorrow, but I don't think we should have too much trouble. It's sort of just thinking about, should I subtract? Should I add? What does my number bond look like? Things like that. So have a wonderful rest of your day, second graders, and I will see you again soon. Bye.